Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is reportedly alarmed by a restart of hostilities with Iran, and insiders say his growing anxiety has eroded confidence in long-standing US security guarantees as Riyadh reassesses how best to protect the kingdom. According to sources close to the government, Saudi Arabia no longer trusts the United States to provide reliable protection, prompting senior officials to explore alternative security arrangements, deepen regional partnerships, and hedge against an uncertain American commitment. The cycle of US strikes followed by an Iranian attack that struck Kuwaiti territory has set off alarm across Arab capitals, where leaders fear dangerous spillover, disruptions to commerce and shipping, and the potential for a wider regional conflagration. A Saudi expert warned that Trump's refusal to re-engage in a war with Iran will cost him dearly, arguing that perceived disengagement could have significant political and strategic repercussions for the president both at home and across the region. The Saudi analyst said Saudi Arabia no longer trusts the United States to provide protection, a blunt assessment that reflects growing doubts in Riyadh about Washington's reliability as a security guarantor amid shifting US priorities. Mubarak al-Ati's comments, reported by the Jerusalem Post, exposed Riyadh's deepening fear of Iran, with the analyst's remarks interpreted as a candid admission of anxiety within Saudi political and security circles. Al-Ati warned that the US decline in influence is preventing Gulf states from taking Trump's Abraham Accords demand seriously, suggesting that diminished American credibility makes regional leaders less willing to commit politically risky normalization steps. The remark came days after Trump urged Arab states to join the Abraham Accords and normalize ties with Israel, a push that Al-Ati said will be harder to sell to Gulf publics and governments if they perceive Washington as retreating from regional security responsibilities. Mubarak al-Ati made the remarks while speaking with RT News, the Jerusalem Post reported on May 29, giving an international platform to views that illuminate intragulf anxieties and the fraught dynamics of US influence in the Middle East. The Saudi analyst said, and I quote, "It seems that US President Donald Trump refuses to return to war and overthrow the Ayatollah's regime. This will cost him dearly. The balance of power has changed significantly, and for rising powers such as India, Saudi Arabia, and Brazil, all of which are G20 members, there are now new possibilities. And they can establish relations with all forces, not just with the US. The US is still a superpower, but not as it was a decade ago. Saudi Arabia refrained from being drawn into war and did not stand alongside Israel and the United States. Just as it did not stand alongside Iran. Saudi Arabia has not declared hostility toward any of the parties. And this means they analyzed the situation and saw themselves as an independent actor who cannot be a satellite of Israel and the US." Unquote. As fresh strikes occur even while a fragile truce nominally holds, speculation is growing about what is delaying a durable peace deal, with diplomats, analysts, and regional leaders pointing to mutual mistrust, unmet security guarantees, and competing political agendas as key obstacles that continue to stall meaningful negotiations. Iran strongly condemned Israel over the killings of 2 senior Hamas commanders in Gaza, according to Press TV. The IRGC declared West Asia would never see peace or security until the Israeli regime is completely removed. Iran accused Israel of carrying out what it described as child-killing attacks in a statement released on May 28. The Revolutionary Guards warned the region would not experience peace until what they called the evil regime is wiped out. The statement came after senior Hamas leader Mohammed Odeh was assassinated in an Israeli strike on Gaza City. Reports said Odeh was killed alongside his wife and 3 children during the Israeli airstrike targeting Hamas positions. Hamas confirmed Odeh's death on May 27, describing him as a major figure inside its military wing. The IRGC also condemned the killing of veteran Qassam Brigade's commander Ezzeddin al-Haddad during recent Israeli operations. Iran claimed the assassinations once again exposed what it called the devilish nature of the Israeli government. The Revolutionary Guards insisted the killings would only intensify Palestinian resistance instead of weakening the fight against Israel. Iran also vowed continued support for the so-called Axis of Resistance and the liberation of Palestine and Jerusalem. The IRGC accused Washington and Western allies of enabling Israeli military operations through continued political and military backing. Iran insisted decades of Israeli actions had exposed what Tehran described as Western hypocrisy on human rights and justice. Fresh confusion erupted after reports claimed Iran and the United States were close to finalizing a new ceasefire arrangement. Tasnim news agency denied reports suggesting a major agreement between Washington and Tehran had already been finalized. Sources linked to Iran's negotiating team said Tehran has not confirmed completion of any formal agreement with the United States. Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance admitted Washington and Tehran were still not there yet despite ongoing negotiations.
If you look at what we've already accomplished here, assuming that we're able to get to a final agreement here, we're reopening the Straits of Hormuz, we've already decimated their conventional military, and we're in a position where we could substantially set back their nuclear program, not just during the term of this president, but over the long term. That's a very, very good thing for the American people. So we're not there yet, but we're very close. We're going to keep on working at it. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
American officials said serious disagreements remain over Iran's enriched uranium stockpile and key nuclear-related issues. Reuters earlier reported both sides had discussed extending the ceasefire for another 60 days amid rising Gulf tensions. The proposed arrangement could reopen maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz while negotiations continue behind closed doors. However, Donald Trump has reportedly not yet approved the potential agreement despite continuing diplomatic discussions with Tehran. The latest developments followed another dangerous round of escalation involving drones, missiles, and military activity across Gulf waters. U.S. Central Command claimed American forces shot down 5 Iranian drones and struck a launch station near Bandar Abbas. Reports also claimed Kuwaiti defenses intercepted a ballistic missile fired toward the country during the latest regional escalation. The IRGC said on May 28 that it targeted a U.S. airbase in response to what it described as a hostile attack, framing the operation as a direct reprisal meant to signal Tehran's unwillingness to tolerate strikes against its interests. Press TV reported that the strike was announced in a statement published by the IRGC, which laid out the group's rationale and attempted to justify the action as a measured, intentional response rather than an impulsive escalation. The IRGC said the attack took place at 4:50 a.m. and described it as a serious warning, using precise timing and stark language to emphasize the message was deliberate and meant to deter further actions. Iran stated that the strike was retaliation for an earlier U.S. military action near Bandar Abbas, portraying the operation as part of a tit-for-tat cycle meant to punish what Tehran called unlawful or provocative conduct. The IRGC warned that any further U.S. aggression would be met with a stronger response, signaling a commitment to escalate proportionally if it perceives continued threats, and underscoring the danger of a widening confrontation. The IRGC said, and I quote, "Following the U.S. military's pre-dawn attack today using aerial projectiles on a site near Bandar Abbas Airport, the American airbase from which the attack originated was targeted at 4:50 a.m. This response is a serious warning to the enemy that any act of aggression will not go unanswered, and, if repeated, our response will be even more decisive. The aggressor bears full responsibility for the consequences." Unquote. Kuwait activated air defenses after what it called hostile missile and drone threats, scrambling military radar and interceptor systems to protect key infrastructure and population centers as authorities assessed incoming risks. The Kuwaiti military said blast sounds heard on May 28 were caused by air defense systems, explaining that interceptors and countermeasures detonated in the sky as part of a defensive response rather than from strikes on the ground. The incident came as Middle East tensions surged again following fresh U.S. strikes in Iran, adding another volatile chapter to a cycle of retaliatory actions that has heightened regional alarm and diplomatic strain. The latest exchange marks another sharp escalation in U.S.-Iran tensions amid a fragile truce, underscoring how quickly a tenuous ceasefire can fray and how proximate states are drawn into the wider security fallout. Fresh U.S. strikes reportedly targeted a suspected Iranian military site overnight as tensions continue escalating across the Gulf region. American officials claimed the targeted Iranian site posed a direct threat to U.S. forces and shipping through Hormuz. Reuters reported the latest American military action on May 27, citing a senior official speaking anonymously about the operation. The fresh strikes came despite a fragile ceasefire that had already been under severe pressure from both sides. U.S. officials also claimed multiple Iranian drones were intercepted and destroyed during the latest military operations in the region. Washington alleged the drones threatened both American military assets and commercial maritime traffic near the Strait of Hormuz. The overnight operation had not been publicly disclosed before anonymous officials confirmed details to Reuters on Wednesday. Trump insisted the Strait of Hormuz would remain open under continued American monitoring and military pressure against Iran. Notably, The United States already carried out what it called defensive strikes against Iran earlier this week. Iran accused Washington of repeatedly violating the fragile ceasefire through continued military operations and escalating regional attacks. Previous U.S. operations targeted suspected Iranian mine-laying boats and missile launch facilities near key maritime routes. CENTCOM claimed those earlier Iranian-linked targets threatened both U.S. military personnel and international shipping routes across the Gulf. Meanwhile, Iranian media reported 3 explosions near Bandar Abbas as tensions sharply escalated overnight across southern Iran. Iran activated its air defense systems for several minutes while authorities investigated the cause of the explosions near Bandar Abbas. Iran International's report said, and I quote, "Iranian media reported that 3 explosions were heard east of the southern port city of Bandar Abbas at around 1:30 a.m. local time on Wednesday, adding that air defenses were activated for several minutes and that authorities are investigating the source of the sounds." Unquote. U.S. officials claimed Iran launched 4 drones toward an American-linked ship near the Strait of Hormuz recently. According to Axios, U.S. forces intercepted and destroyed all 4 drones before they could strike their intended targets.